What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're taking a look at the Corrupted Grandmaster and going over an updated guide on how you can quickly and easily complete this strike on Grandmaster difficulty during Season of the Deep. For Conquerors, this Grandmaster just became available, but for everyone else, this strike will not be the featured Nightfall for another 2 weeks. The Corrupted has seen quite a few changes from seasons past, most notably a new health gate for the boss, which means no more one-phasing. But even with this in mind, there are still several workarounds and exploits that you can utilize for the boss and other stages of this strike so that you can get through this Grandmaster with ease. When the Corrupted is the featured Nightfall, it will offer the Hung Jury Scout Rifle as a reward, with Adept versions only being available through Grandmaster. Completing the Corrupted this week will reward the Buzzard Sidearm. The Corrupted puts you up against a mixture of Scorn, Hive, and Taken enemies, but you'll predominantly be seeing Taken and Hive. There are a total of 18 champions, including 8 Overload and 10 Unstoppable. Your enemies will receive an increase in arc damage, while you will receive an increase with arc and strand. Rocket launchers will also get overcharged, granting a 25% bonus in damage. In terms of best subclasses and loadouts for this strike, survivability and crowd control are the most important factors. Strand and Stasis can both prove to be very effective at suspending or freezing large groups of enemies and stunning champions. Solar and Void builds can be great since you can reap the benefits of Restoration or Devour. And for Hunters, Void builds will be especially effective because of invisibility. It's actually because of that invisibility that you'll be able to pull off several workarounds to get through this strike quicker and more safely, since you'll be facing a lot of Taken and Unstoppable champions. The Malfeasance is going to be one of the best exotics to use. Witherhoard and Wishender both provide bonus damage towards the Taken, but not as much. Legendary weapons can also be fitted with the Taken Spec weapon mod to provide those weapons with an additional 10% damage against all Taken enemies, since it can stun overloads and applies poisoning damage. Le Monarch will be another fantastic exotic option. I would normally suggest Leviathan's Breath as well, since it stuns Unstoppables, or Thunderlord, since it stuns overloads, but ammo economy will likely become a factor, so I wouldn't recommend relying on a heavy weapon to handle champions. Divinity can be a great choice, especially for warlocks, utilizing the Cenotaph Mask, as you'll be able to continuously generate heavy ammo for the entire team. And this is why Aeons can be a great exotic armor choice. When this strike begins, you'll be dropped into an already active battle between the Scorn and Taken. An Overload champion will appear in front of you. After defeating this champion, you'll want to take a hard right along the far edge of the cliffside to go around the bridge so that you can flank the Taken mini-boss and avoid the rank and file enemies. There will be 2 Overload champions that spawn here on the bridge, but after the mini-boss has been defeated, you're free to move forward into the Ascendant Plane. So if you're not worried about Platinum status, you can just skip these champions by going invisible and jumping straight into the portal. And now for the dreaded elevator section. This gives a lot of Guardians some heavy levels of anxiety, but if you stay calm, cool, and collected, you can get through this. There are 2 phases to this encounter, with both including a slew of Taken Thrall that will spawn in before shielded Taken mini-bosses. Throwing the balls at the mini-bosses breaks the shields. Charging up the balls by passing them to a teammate makes them stronger and will cause the shields to break instantly, instead of requiring 2 or 3 ball throws. The ball duplication cheese is no longer a thing. Any duplicated balls will despawn after a few seconds once they've been dropped onto the floor, so you'll need to get at least 2 balls charged and held onto by teammates to take down those boss shields as soon as they spawn in. After you've cleared through both elevator phases, you'll have to cut through a long path of enemies that include Shriekers, Knights, and Unstoppable Ogres. But with the use of invisibility, a Void Hunter can skip through all of this, causing the enemies to despawn. This will take you out of Platinum status, but it also saves you about 5 to 10 minutes of time. Once the enemies have despawned, the rest of the team can move forward and regroup with the invisible hunter on the steps of the next area. This is where you'll fight a large Taken Ogre and a Hive Ogre on 2 different planes. There's a few ways of handling this portion of the strike. If you do need platinum, you're going to have to wait until both sets of unstoppable champions spawn in. But if you're after maximum time efficiency, you're going to want to down these ogres as quick as possible. Whichever approach you choose, you'll want to stay back towards the steps and keep as much distance between you and everything else, because you don't want to be caught in the middle of an engagement when you get teleported to one of the other realms. If timed correctly, once the ogres have been defeated, a Void Hunter can skip forward and go beyond the gate to pull the team a few sections ahead, causing you to skip the area that you would normally go to right after this phase is done. After completing this section, you'll have a few small groups of enemies scattered along your final descent towards the boss area. If you missed out on the opportunity to skip forward, you'll have to cross a few walkways with overloads and unstoppables. But if you follow along the edge of the wall, you should have a much easier time clearing through this section. Afterwards, you'll have some jumping platforms to cross, a few more sets of enemies, and then finally the boss encounter, a multi-stage fight that can be pretty chaotic. This boss will have a shield that will be taken down with one of those Taken balls, just like back in the elevator sequence. Linear fusion rifles can no longer one-phase this boss, and when she teleports into the ascendant plane, any active balls are going to despawn. When the fight begins, the safest place for you and your team to be will be on the platform that's adjacent to the boss arena. You'll need to remain here until the second damage phase, which is going to be performed towards the back of the center platform, where the ascendant portal will spawn in. This way you'll be able to avoid the final group of adds that spawn in as the boss teleports away. And now you're on to the final stretch. After clearing through a few more sets of enemies, you'll make your way to the final stand area, where you'll need to be very careful, since the boss can easily force push you off of the map. You'll perform 2 damage phases here in this area, but before you start, you'll want to hang back towards this ledge that's just on the outer edge of the area. Clear out the first set of enemies, then go get the ball and bring it back here, where we'll perform the first damage phase. After damage has been done, the boss's shield will go back up, and you'll get the turn back prompt on your screen, forcing you to move closer to the boss. A new set of enemies will also be spawning in, so this will be a good time to use an add clear super. Be sure to give your teammates distance during this final phase and stay in motion. Standing in place is going to result in the boss targeting you and force pushing you away. At this point, the boss should be pretty low on health, so once you've broken her shield, a barrage of supers and whatever heavy that you have left should be able to finish her off. If you utilize the skip throughs, you should be looking at a 20-minute run through of one of the most challenging Grandmasters this season. And with that, we've covered everything you need to know on how to quickly and easily clear through the Corrupted on Grandmaster difficulty during Season of the Deep. I wish you all the best of luck throughout your runs and throughout the rest of this season. If you've got any additional tips or tricks for your fellow Guardians, be sure to let us know those in the comments down below. And thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.